Welcome to the Mind Solution podcast with Sarah Maud. The Mind Solution podcast is for leaders like you who are passionate about well-being in the workplace because you understand that a strong, resilient and happy workforce is the key to your organisation's success. The Mind Solution podcast is here to help you. So join us every week where we'll share with you powerful insights, strategies and know-how to ensure that your people and your organisation are truly thriving from the inside out. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Mind Solution podcast. And this is our first podcast in 2023. So for all of my listeners, Happy New Year to you. And I'm really excited about today's podcast because I'm joined today by Simon Ursell, who is the Managing Director of the UK environmental consultancy Tyler Grange, and Carly Goodman-Smith, their Operations Director. Welcome both Carly and Simon.
Hello.
Hello, thank you for having us.
My absolute pleasure, because today's a really interesting topic and it's all about the UK trial of the 4-day working week, which Tyler Grange have been part of. And actually the trial came to an end in December. So this is perfect timing for all of those business leaders and organizations that are tuned into this podcast to really think about what it is that you want to create in 2023. And maybe after listening to Simon and Carly, the 4-day working week will be something that you adopt. So in a few words, either Simon or Carly, do you want to just tell us a little bit about your organisation and the nature of the work that you do?
I'll do that.
Yeah, go on.
So we, as you said, we're an environmental consultancy. We have 3 main disciplines, which are ecology, landscape, architecture and planning, and arboriculture. And we basically work in the planning industry. So we help people that are applying for planning applications, any kind of land use change. So that could be a new factory, it could be residential housing, it could be a solar farm. We work in lots of different sort of areas of development, but we basically help them gain planning permission for their developments in a way that respects the environment and that is in accordance with all of the planning policy and legislation that we have in the UK that seeks to protect wildlife, trees and the landscape.
Okay, interesting. And what's your organisational size? What's your headcount?
So I think we're around, at the moment, around the 85 to 90 employees mark. We have grown fairly quickly from an organisation that was just the 4 founding partners. I was one of the first employees way back in 2010. And then since then we've grown to have 6 offices and getting close to 100 employees.
It's quite it changes, doesn't it? We have quite a few short-term contracts. Because of the nature of the work that we do, we're project-based. So some people will come and work on a project and then go do something somewhere else and then come back. So there's a bit of gig work that goes on. Hence, it sort of flexes between 170 is our headcount.
We're quite a seasonal business as well, because in the ecology, particularly in the ecology side of things, we can't, at this time of year, everything's in hibernation or has died back, so it's difficult for us to do surveys. So a lot of the work in ecology happens in the spring and summer months.
Okay, interesting. And do you work in a hybrid model or are people office-based? I'm sure you've got a lot of people that are out in the fields.
Yeah, so I would say it's definitely hybrid. So we like to collaborate and work together. So we do come into the office quite a lot and work with each other, but we also we were doing it pre-pandemic anyway, to be honest. We were well placed when the pandemic hit to be able to work from home. So a lot of our staff sort of do a mixture of working from home and working in the office, about half and half, sometimes a bit more in the office. And then obviously at the right times of year in ecology, but all through the year in the other two disciplines, we're also out in the field pretty much every day around that kind of office and home working.
Okay. And I'll pick up on that later because it might sort of fall into the whole conversation about what's been a success as far as your 4-day week trial. But tell me, Simon, what incentivized you to take part in the 4-day working week UK trial?
Well, we were going to do the 4-day week anyway. Our plan was to start the 4-day week on the 1st of January this year. And because the trial was happening 6 months earlier, we decided to go a bit earlier. So we got involved with the trial. But we started thinking about a 4-day week about 4 years ago. So we were looking for ways of trying to make the business more effective, happier. We're big believers in a happy business is an effective, profitable business. So we were looking at ways of that, and we noticed that people were getting quite stressed. There was a bit of burnout, lots of long hours, all those kinds of things. So we've done the 4-day week isn't in isolation. We've done lots of things. The 4-day week is the big thing we've done, but we've done things like we've hired a in-house psychologist. We hired a non-exec director from the world of sport, an England rugby coach who worked at sort of more junior levels to help with our graduates coming in. So we've done quite a lot of fairly, we like to think, innovative things to try and help our team be more resilient and be able to work effectively. And the 4-day week is something we've been toying with because we felt that it was something that we'd love to do. We were curious about it. So we did a ton of research, spoke to businesses that had done it. We looked at there's quite a bit of research out there. There's a few organisations that champion 4-day week. There's lots of pro and anti 4-day week literature kicking around as well. So it's great because there's tons of stuff you can get your teeth into. So a really good look into it, and lots of reasons really. But that would be I guess that answers the question, doesn't it? So we decided to go for it in it was May, wasn't it? May last year, sorry.
June. But yeah.
And what were some of the things, just picking up on what you said there about stress and burnout, what were some of the things that were originally contributing to higher stress levels and burnout?
Well, client demands, project demands on your time. Probably the big one in hindsight for me would be inefficient working. Just doing a lot of stuff that you don't necessarily really need to do, just because you feel you should. There was a lot of that going on, and we were seeing it through the team. We provide free counselling to the team, and we were seeing the amount of people using that was going up, which concerned us. So we've had quite a few of those kinds of issues. So we were noticing that there was quite a lot of long hours being done, and I think some of that was led from the top. If we're honest, aren't we, Carly? I mean, I think all our leadership team were all doing very long hours. I mean, I rather sadly in 2014 had a brain hemorrhage, which was put down to stress and overwork, and that kind of was a big wake up for me. To say, actually, this is something's got to change here. And so we really started looking, that's my personal experience. We had other things going on in the business as well. And we thought we really need to do something about this. It's not sustainable and it's not good for the company. So we started putting in place a lot of these things to work on how to be better at working. Not to do less work necessarily, but to do less time on the work, be more effective, and allow ourselves to do other things. We do a lot of volunteering for charity. So in the 5-day week, we gave everybody a day off a month to volunteer for charity. So there was loads of that going on. In the 4-day week, that now happens Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or in the evenings. So yeah.
So picking up on what you said, Simon, about client demands and demands on people's time, I'm guessing that the client demand hasn't gone away. So how do you manage that within a 4-day week?
Communication is the most important thing. If the clients understand what we are going to do, when we are going to do it, and we like to think we're really great at what we do. Our clients certainly really love what we do, because we get plenty of feedback on that. If we're really clear about what we're going to do, when we're going to do it, then you are able to manage your time much more effectively. If you don't communicate very effectively with your clients, then they lead the agenda and they have their own demands and stresses, and quite rightly are demanding on us to deliver for them. So if we're not communicating with them and letting them know what we're doing and how we're going to do it, then that tends to create stress. So great communication is the number one thing for us.
And it sounds like in that great communication, there's a management of expectations.
Yes.
Do you agree with that?
Yes, certainly. And we're the experts in what we do. So making sure our clients understand what we are going to do for them and how we're going to do it, managing their expectations, is absolutely critical. And our clients really value that.
Yeah. And when you said that people were doing a lot of things that they didn't need to be doing, sort of non-essential things, to just put that in context, what does that actually look like?
Well, you can probably answer that one, but Carly, better than me.
So I suppose it's about, some of it is about process. So it was taking a long time to do perhaps some of the administrative side of running a project. Mm-hmm. So we've done things like bring in a new system, financial system called Salesforce, which we use both for our financial side of the business, but also for sort of project management. And bringing in something like that, which allows people to manage their projects in a much more effective way, takes up less time doing all those things like preparing fee quotes and invoicing and all of that other stuff, and allows them to focus on that technical side of delivering their project for their client and that expertise, which is what our clients are looking for. So some of it was helping them with process. There are things like we encouraged and people have had to adopt a more effective use of meetings, clear actions out of a meeting with clear responsibilities, and not having long dragging meetings for the sake of it. I think some of the 4-day week stuff requires prep. So the new Salesforce system, we needed to have that up and running, but some of it you're forced to do once you're working the 4-day week. So you don't have time. You've got 4 days to deliver the same number of projects. I don't have time to have a long rambling meeting. So let's have a really focused meeting. And because everyone's in the same mindset, everyone's on the same page, everyone wants to make the most of the time that they're at work to deliver their work. It was one of the things that we were a bit concerned about going into the 4-day week, and some of our employees raised similar concerns, which was, will we lose that friendly culture in Tyler Grange? People love coming to work for us because we have fun as much as we work hard. So there was a concern that, if I've got to do my job in only 4 days, will there still be time for the fun bit? But what we found is that we're all still the same nice people. We've got a lovely business full of lovely people, and we all still love working with each other, and we haven't lost that by doing 4-day.
No, it's been enhanced, isn't it?
Yeah.
One of the interesting consequences, the sort of unintended consequences, was that on a Friday, all your friends, all your network are at work. So the only people you can hang out with and do stuff with, fun things, are other people at Tyler Grange. So the guys have started up hobbies together, and they go out together and do things together on a Friday. That wasn't necessarily happening as much. That's been really nice, actually. It's made the team get on fabulously well, and we were really worried it would affect that negatively. But in fact, it's been incredibly positive to that end. I mean, once everyone does a 4-day week, I think they probably will, but who knows? Once everyone does a 4-day week, maybe that will change. But for now, that's been a wonderful consequence. And if you think about a 4-day week and what we're giving our team, which is a whole day for themselves, that's the most amazing incentive. And the deal was, when we started, was 180, 100. So you got 100% of your pay, 80% of your time. However, you needed to keep your 100% productivity. So the incentive is there for the team, because we're giving them a money can't buy thing, time. And everyone wants more time, don't they? So we're giving that sort of thing. I think it's the best incentive I can think of. Certainly I can't think of anything better. You give them that incentive, that is a incredibly powerful sense of purpose for our whole business to become better at what we do. And our clients have noticed we're better. We are producing more work than we were doing in 5 days in 4 days, which still blows my mind slightly. And the team are happier, and we measure happiness. So we're confident that they are happier.
So what I'm hearing is there's a real shift around mindset. And mindset about how you approach what you're doing. So listening to you, Carly, what came to my mind is Kaizen. So Kaizen is that way of looking at continuous improvement, which a lot of organizations don't do. They just keep doing what they've always done and expecting a different result, which I think is also the definition of insanity. Do what you've always done and expect a different result.
Yeah.
So I'm hearing that you, in order to make this a success, you've had to really take a step back and go, where are we inefficient? Where are we wasting time? Where can we gain time? Where can we be more productive? And I really like what you say, Carly, about the whole meeting culture, because I know from working with multiple organizations across multiple countries and industries, one of the big things that I hear employees talk about is this really heavy meeting culture, and especially in the new hybrid model where they're just going from meeting to meeting to meeting. And quite often those meetings, they don't have a clear purpose. They don't have a clear agenda. People come out thinking, what was that all about? And it's a real waste of time and energy. So I'm curious to know, what are maybe some of the practical things that you did to make your meetings more effective?
I should say this is still a work in progress. I think we failed a bit this morning in our director's call.
Yeah, we did.
Because it went on longer than it should have. But one of the very most basic things is having a really clear agenda and a time limit on your meeting and sticking to it, and not saying, oh, it doesn't matter if we overrun, but getting done what you need to get done you can do it in half an hour. You don't need an hour and a half. Yeah. If you have a clear agenda, you turn up on time, you have someone leading the meeting, and everyone comes away with clear actions at the end. Half an hour is the maximum that a meeting really needs to be. Sometimes we might build in 5 minutes either side for that, because we are a friendly business, to be, how are you? Haven't seen you for a while. Did you have a nice Christmas? Yeah,
there's a lot of chat, isn't there?
Yeah.
We do enjoy it. We do enjoy
a chat. But it's once the
meeting... Oh, you're human. I would hope you
do. Not getting rid of that.
We're not getting rid of that, but it's once the meeting started, having a really clear sort of layout for it, and clear goals on who is coming out of the meeting with what actions and where we go from next, and not having a meeting for the sake of a meeting just because, oh well, we always do this meeting every week, so let's carry on doing it. But is it needed, and what's the purpose, and what's going to be the outcome?
Yeah, and I love that, because again, it's kind of going back to that blank canvas and almost sort of saying, if I was to wave a magic wand and we absolutely knew that this 4-day working week was a success, what would we see was different, and really challenging some of the status quo around that. Now, I'm guessing that when you first announced to the business that you were doing this 4-day working week, whilst the idea of getting paid 100% for 4 days would make some people, celebrate, I'm guessing that there were some concerns within your workforce about, well, where does the work go? How do we squash a 5-day week into a 4-day week? And where burnout was present, people might have been working 6 days and thinking, how do I get that into 4 days? So talk to me about some of the concerns that you came up against initially.
What I'd say first is that we didn't tell the team we were going to do a 4-day working week. We spoke to the team about whether that might be something the business would benefit from. So we did lots of conversations around the business around whether a 4-day week was something that we wanted to do as an organisation, expecting lots of people to say yes, and they certainly did. But then we got lots of concerns, and I think that is possibly one of the key things organisations need to think about before they do a 4-day week, which is really great and quite extensive employee engagement before it starts, because it is quite scary, and it was scary for us as a business to do this. Because it is the unknown, but we were committed and we wanted to do it, so we went for it. But I think the team will be anxious about it. Your employees will be anxious about a 4-day week. The main thing that people are anxious about is compressed hours. We're a very busy business, and our very best people were some of the most concerned about a 4-day week. And the reason they were concerned is they were thinking, I work my socks off. How the heck am I going to do all of this work in a day less? It's going to be unbelievably hard. I just don't see how I can do it. And we kind of agreed with them. However, we had a really good look at what we were doing during our working day, and the UK's productivity sits at around 2.5 hours a day. We're I think the lowest in Europe. In terms of the productivity, we've also got the longest hours in Europe. So that tells a bit of a story, doesn't it? And what we were seeing in our business was that the actual number of hours that were productive during the day was quite small. And we were doing a lot of things like long meetings, and there was a lot of inefficient traveling around and all sorts of things that we observed. So we engaged with those brilliant people to help us work out the sorts of things that might help us do a 4-day week. And one of the key things was admin. There's a lot of admin was being done that felt very long-winded and duplicating things and doing things. So we brought in Salesforce and spent a lot of money on it to help us reduce the admin. Our goal is 0 admin for our fee earning team. We're not there yet, but that's our goal. Whether we get there, I don't know, but we're trying. And that helped everybody feel reassured. And the most important thing about that is engagement with those concerns. It's not so much the concerns themselves, it's the fact that you acknowledge them, you hear them, and you start putting things in place to deal with them afterwards. I think that's key. On the 4-day week trial, there were 70 organisations. And I was on we had lots of Zoom calls with all the leaders, and Oxford University and Boston University and Cambridge University and various think tanks, and lots of questions and things. And there was a couple of businesses on there that were going to announce to their team that there was a 4-day week trial the day the trial started. And I still feel very anxious and stressed about that now. And that was 7 months ago. I found that terrifying, and I would, if anyone's thinking about doing a 4-day week, don't do that. Talk to your team first and get them excited about it, and get them part of the conversation and the ideas around how you then take your business into something that feels very dramatic like this. The reassurance I would give to counter that is actually it's really great and it works. And that's because you're giving everyone that amazing sense of purpose. So it's fine. But I imagine that organisation that announced it to their team that day would have had a lot of people cheering and celebrating. There would have been a significant number of people thinking, oh my gosh, how on earth am I going to deal with this?
Yeah.
So that's how we dealt with the concerns.
And I fully, with my background in human resources, I wholeheartedly agree with that approach. It's that consultancy approach. It's really, as you say, exploring those concerns, but also selling the benefits, but putting a very clear communication plan in about how are we actually going to make this work so that it's not some abstract idea in their head. Now, I guess what I'm curious about is, there are a lot of organisations that I've worked with over the years who I think would wholeheartedly agree that there are systems and processes that they have in place which are not efficient, they're not effective. I mean, I've even worked with huge global organisations that don't even have an HR system in place. So there's a lot of wasted, as you say, Carly, time being done on quite administrative tools where there's systems and processes and software that can be put in. I guess I'm curious, there could be a business leader that's listening to this that's thinking, well, we've got all the systems and processes in place that we possibly could. Our staff are already burnt out. We're already doing effective agile meetings. I know that agile working was a big buzzword for, I think it's still a big buzzword. And I still don't see how we can achieve that. What might be some of the things that you would say to them, Simon and Carly?
I think for me, perhaps talk to some of the people in your business that are already working part-time, and perhaps have a look at their productivity and what they're delivering alongside someone that's working full-time. Because that was one of the things that we did in our business. We looked at some of the, we did have men as well working part-time in our business, but to be perfectly frank, we had quite a few mums working part-time in the business, and they were delivering as much, if not more.
They're all delivering more.
If not more than the people in the business that were working full-time. And they were getting paid less for it. And that just seems mad. You know, they're not incentivized by money to be delivering as much as they are. But the focus of the fact that they were only working maybe 3 days or 4 days a week meant that when they were at work, they were delivering the job that they needed to deliver. And actually, sometimes something like the 4-day week does take a bit of a leap of faith. And it kind of comes back to your point earlier around you need to be looking for continuous improvement. You might think you've got the perfect business, that everything is wonderful and there's nothing more you can do to improve. But
you're wrong.
You're wrong. We're not a perfect business.
We're far from it.
We are always continually looking for ways to improve, and to assume that you've got it all sussed is
you're wrong.
You're wrong. So I would say some of it's a leap of faith. Have a look at how your part-time workers work, because more often than not, they'll be delivering just as much, if not more, than your full-time workers. And take a bit of a leap of faith and try it. You know, it helped us that we did the trial first. So I guess it's important to say that we have now adopted the 4-day week on a permanent basis since doing the trial.
Yeah.
But we very much are pleased with the fact that we had this opportunity to do it as a trial first, because doing the trial itself has helped us to work out how we are going to do it permanently.
Yeah, but you can do a trial, can't you? So if somebody was to do it, I would say do a 6-month trial so that people feel reassured that it could go back to 5 days.
Yeah.
And that helps with the incentive. I'll go back to that point that if you want fundamental change in your business for the better, I personally believe you've got to provide the incentives around that. You can't just say we want to make the business much better so the shareholders get loads of money. I think you're unlikely to get massive employment engagement with that. But if you give your team, your employees, a whole day off and say, in order to do that, we've got to get better, then they're all going to work bloody hard to get better, aren't they? So I would say to achieve that fundamental change in your business for the better, you're going to have to do something fairly you have to give a fairly dramatic incentive to your team. And I don't think financial incentives work all that well. They tend to.
We're not financially driven. From a psychological point of view, we're really not we're not financially driven. One thing I am curious about, and it's more, I guess, about sort of organisational culture and the psychology. So you said, Simon, that it effectively took a brain hemorrhage for you to stop and say, I can't continue to work, which is kind of extreme.
I know.
And one of the things that I observe in organisations is, from a leadership cultural perspective, I see so many employees that are burnt out, that are exhausted, and they tell me and share with me that a lot of their behaviour is driven by what they're observing in their managers and in the leadership team. So one organisation, for example, said that their chief exec would regularly work when she was on holiday. They'd regularly be working long hours, they'd be sending emails at 11 o'clock. And so the people themselves didn't feel that they could clock off at 5 o'clock. In fact, I've had so many coaching conversations with leaders who've said, I don't feel comfortable clocking off at 5 o'clock because the rest of the leadership team work long hours. What are they going to think about me? And I guess playing a bit of devil's advocate with you, I guess one of my questions would be, what did you need to do? I know that you had the wake-up call of a brain hemorrhage, but what did you need to do to shift your mindset so that you could start to work in a very different way?
Well, lots of counselling, talking to people like yourself. I'm
not a counsellor.
Lots of counselling, as well as talking to people like yourself, and to try and find out why I felt really guilty not working. So I did a lot of that, a lot of self-development. I think that's really important, and I do know that culture is led from the top. Suzanne said something, our psychologist said something interesting to me when we started this trial. She said, Simon, you can't work on Friday, don't you? And I was like, oh, well, I can probably sneak in a little bit of work. Can't I? Goes, that everyone will know if you do, and then they'll all start doing it as well. And I thought, oh, wow, she's right, okay. So I'm quite visibly playing golf often on a Friday morning, so people know I'm not at work or working, because you've got to lead it, you've got to model it, haven't you, to be able to show your team. And I think Carly's said this a few times, and I agree, we're not perfect. We don't always get it right, and occasionally I work on a Friday, Saturday and a Sunday, occasionally, but most of the time I'm not, and I'm certainly trying to not work past 5 o'clock, not start work really early. I'm certainly not emailing and sending people messages outside of hours, because if we're going to get better and efficient, we've got to really focus on making sure we're delivering our work in the time that we're supposed to be working and not other time. So so work, self-improvement, so getting better ourselves, understanding why we feel guilt about working, about not working. I think that would be the number one thing for me. And I think I've worked quite hard on that. And I think I've gone on a bit of a journey with it. And I think I understand much better now. I'm certainly not at the end of that journey, but I'm much better now understanding and actually not feeling so guilty when I don't work.
Yeah. And I really liked what you said there, Simon, about the whole personal development side of things, because, and I'm sure your psychologists will have affirmed this to you, if we think about the way that the mind works, 96% of what we're doing is unconscious. It's just a set of programs, a storehouse of patterns that just keeps doing what it's doing. It's like a machine. And unless we do something, whether it's I mean, I'm a coach, I'm an EFT practitioner, I'm a solution-focused psychotherapist, I'm a hypnotherapist. I told you when I click my fingers that you're...
Doing what we're told.
But it's using these modalities to change that operating system so that you get a different response. And understanding, I mean, something like guilt is very much the ego trying to prove that it has morals, and understanding the ego mind, which is very much, it's never happy. It's like a child. You give it a sweet and it's happy for a minute and then it wants more. It always wants more. So understanding that, understanding the way that we operate as a human being, personally, I feel is so fundamental to achieving success in these kinds of initiatives, because otherwise organizations run the risk of only focusing on policy and process and not the actual operating system that is our own mind. Would you agree with that?
Wholeheartedly, absolutely. I mean, it's something I think that has made Tyler Grange very successful. That focus on emotional intelligence, as we like to call it. I'm also a non-exec director for a couple of organisations, one of which is a mindfulness charity that works with young carers, but also with professionals. So several of us are now practicing mindfulness at least once a week. That's been quite revolutionary. One of the I won't mention his name because I haven't asked, but one of the guys here said it's changed his life for the better. So I think those things are hugely important, and are one of the reasons why our 4-day week has worked, is because we are able to acknowledge and work on those things. So yeah, agree.
And it sounds like, I mean, one of the big things that I'm passionate about when I work with an organisation is consistency, because I know that you talked about resilience earlier, and our ability to regulate our emotions, which is what creates that emotional intelligence. You can't just teach somebody something once and expect them to be an expert at it. It has to be that consistency. I mean, mindfulness is a practice that is a daily practice, but bringing in those kind of training, and the fact that you've got a psychologist on site that regularly works with your people is absolutely, to me, it's a complete no-brainer, in the same way that the 4-day working week is a no-brainer to you.
Yeah, I mean, it's a no-brainer for us too. I mean, she's been amazing. I mean, Suzanne's transformational is a word I'd use.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think it's something that the team really, perhaps there was some cynicism around it at first. Oh, I don't need that. I'm fine. I don't need any help from a psychologist.
Yeah.
But actually, a lot of the people that said that are now coming out and saying, actually, it's been so helpful. It just makes you think about things differently. The emotional fitness course that she's run for us as well, for specific people in the business. She did for the directors first, and then we've rolled it out to others in the business, as well as her monthly sessions with us, and also one-to-ones. Some people are having one-to-one sessions with her that have never spoken to a counsellor or therapist before in their lives, and really getting a lot of value from it. And we're seeing the benefits in the fact that they're happier and healthier at work. We're having less sick days.
Yeah, absenteeism dropped by 70% over the first year of Suzanne working with us. So if you want a financial reason to employ an in-house psychologist 1 day a month, so it's not a big financial commitment, to be honest, you'll see your absenteeism go down. As long as you commit to it yourself first, it's got to come from the top. If you don't believe in it, don't do it, because it won't work.
And I guess that's the big part of everything, isn't it, Simon? The commitment to the 4-day week, as Suzanne challenged you on, means that you can't work Friday. That commitment to changing the culture of an organisation, it has to start at the top and trickle down. otherwise it's a little bit like throwing jelly against the wall and hoping that it sticks. So
it has to be authentic, doesn't it? Because no one is going to come on the journey with you if you don't really believe it yourself.
Yeah.
So why would they bother? Why would they engage with it? Why would they get the benefits?
And they'll see through you immediately.
Yeah, exactly.
If you're not authentic, if you don't believe it yourself, they'll see straight through you straight away.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Out of interest, have you read the book by Greg McKeown called Essentialism?
No.
No.
Oh, well, I would encourage you to check it out. It's a wonderful book for anybody that's listening. I promote so many books. I'm sure that I should be on some kind of compensation scheme.
Good. Sorry, what's the name of it?
Greg McKeown. It's Essentialism. But he interviewed a whole host of senior leadership members, and it really did challenge a lot of what you've talked about on this podcast about what is essential activity. But he also feeds into what do we need to be effective. So, for example, there's quite a big chapter in there about sleep and how if we're not fit mentally, physically, emotionally, then again, everything is driven from the inside out. So I think you would find it real food for thought, given your journey that you're on.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much to both of you. I know that this has been a wonderful journey for you, and it's fantastic to hear about the success. It really is. I love organizations that are doing things differently, getting different results, getting better results, challenging the status quo. And for anybody that's still a little bit on the fence, as the excited evangelical beings that you are about the 4-day week, is there anything that you would say to anybody listening?
Do it. I mean, for us to not do a 4-day week now would be financially stupid, because I'd make less money. Not that that's why Tyler Grange exists, but I know that's a big deal. But also, it's just been wonderful. I mean, having 3 days off, everybody comes into the office on a Monday morning having a great time. And we come back from Christmas, everyone's coming in having a great time. There's not this sort of, and we had it. We'd love to think we were a great business and doing really well, but I definitely felt Monday mornings were a real drag at times. But I honestly promise that I come in on a Monday morning thinking, I really want to go to work. I'm looking forward to seeing my friends at work and having a great time. And I think that is one of the massive benefits of a 4-day week. It's just discovering that real joy of going to work again.
I completely agree with that. We did a check-in with all of our employees just before Christmas and went and spoke to them individually. And one of the biggest things that came out of that was, I don't get Sunday night work dread anymore. I come in on a Monday ready to go, and I think that in any organisation is
worth it.
Is totally worth it.
Do it. That's my advice.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for your time. For anybody who's listening, that we hope that this has certainly given you food for thought about what it is that you can create in your organisations moving forward. And we look forward to you joining us on another episode of the Mind Solution podcast very soon. Bye-bye for now.